It is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool, and to talk all about a hibernation theme or animals in winter theme in your classroom. So if you go to the top of this post, you will see links to my Hibernation Centers pack, Hibernation Science pack, as well as links to past Facebook Lives and the Facebook group and my newsletter. So if you need any of that, go to the top of this post and click on what you need. So, hibernation theme, I haven't done one before in my class. So I wanted to show you guys some ideas I had. Now, keep in mind, I would never ever have time to do all of these ever, fit them into my schedule. So what I usually do is I look at my kiddos, see what skills they need to work on, and then those are the activities I do for that year. Which is another reason why I don't sell lesson plans, because every year your lessons should be kind of tailored to the skills your kiddos need that year to work on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip the camera around and I'm gonna show you around my classroom so I can give you guys ideas. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you all kinds of fun hibernation centers and ideas and manipulatives. So let's go. So for manipulatives for a winter hibernation theme, bears I think are really hard to find. So these little rocks would be perfect because, caves are made of rocks and animals hide themselves under rocks when they hibernate. These are from the dollar store. You could also use like snow mini erasers, glass gems, cotton balls, fake acorns. Those are just the bigger glass gems. And these are really fun too because you can write letters on them, and that would be fun to do too. So for some letter manipulatives that would just be fun and different for a hibernation theme would be these letter rocks. You can tell mine are loved. We literally use them in my classroom, so they're a little beat up. Usually, honestly, what I do is I just take one day and I go over the paint marker, and instead of making a new set, because you can tell like the P's almost gone. But these letter rocks are really fun. They're really engaging. Just make it fun. And I got these rocks from the dollar store. So the rocks are from the dollar store. These are dollar store, Hobby Lobby, dollar store, and then Target. And then these letter tile manipulatives are fun just because they're white, so you could pretend they're snow. So that would be fun too. Fun as well to do. You could use these I love using foam things in my classroom. So you could make a letter set and you could line them up in your classroom or on like the floor or on a table, and they could match letter manipulatives to them. And then I'll actually put usually numbers on the other side so I can do the number activity with them. So you could line these up again and then count out that many manipulatives on them too. So that's a fun thing to do. Or these are really fun too to put on the ground and say and like put a whole bunch of them on the ground and say, okay, everybody find the letter C, and everybody has to walk around the classroom and find the letter C, and they just put their toe on it. So that's a really fun way to sneak in gross motor, or you can do like a hop where they have to hop on the letters or numbers and say the letter or number. For writing and writing tray, here's a fun thing you could do. So this is a pizza pan, and I just covered half of it with foam, which obviously I'd probably cut it down a little bit smaller. And then they just make hibernation words, which these word cards are my hibernation pack. So it's kind of like a little cave. So they can make the words or the letters in the cave. If you have threes, they can make their names in the cave. And you can use magnet letters. You can use any kind of letter manipulative you have in your classroom. So kind of like making words in a cave. You could also just have them match letters in the cave. So instead of doing all of them, they could just literally match the letters. So put all the letters in the middle of the table, and then they can just match the letters in the cave and just have these out at every chair. And again, these pizza pans are from the Dollar Tree. I love them. I actually accidentally bought them one year because they were out of cookie pans, so I needed something, so I just grabbed these. instead, and they work great for so many themes. You can also make a salt tray or writing tray. This is just a pizza pan or a pie pan from the dollar store, and I just used the pie pan because, again, it kind of looks like a cave. And what they do, these are just icicles from Christmas, and they could pick a letter. And you can either use like letter cards, like these are in my Hibernation Centers pack, so they could pick a letter and write the letter, or they could pick a letter manipulative and write the letter. You can also, I love writing trays too, because they can write the letter, and then they can also like trace it with a manipulative. So they would trace that Q all the way with the letter, the little letter, or the little gemstones. And one thing that's great about all of these little manipulatives, when you're using little manipulatives, they're developing those fine motor skills, and they don't even have a pencil in their hand. So using all these little things is perfect for math and perfect for writing, but it's also sneaking into lots and lots of fine motor work and pencil grasp. Foil is really fun to write on. So you can have everybody, I can't get the mark open, draw a cave, or you could draw a cave on it, and then they can pick a letter, J, or you could call out a letter, and they can write the letter on there. You can also write words on foil, and guess what, you guys? It erases. I'm just going to use this cotton ball to erase, but it erases just like a dry erase board. So just cover the table in foil, or give everybody a piece of foil, and they can write words or letters or their names on the foil instead of a dry erase board. Again, just mixing it up, trying to do something fun and different for your theme to keep them excited and interested. So my kids got this guy from like a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. So what I did, which it came off, but perfect. There we go. It's still kind of sticky. It's a sticker magnet that didn't stick very well. But you take a magnet and stick it to a little furry friend. And since we're doing hibernation animals, I just stuck him on it, and look, he can pick a letter, and that way your little bear can pick your letter in your cave or in this cave. So again, just something fun, just a different way to make a magnet wand. These are from like a McDonald's Happy Meal. You could use plastic animals too, would be fun. In my Hibernation Centers pack, there's this read, write, build page, so they can pick a letter, which is the little hibernating turtle, write the letter, and then make the letter with the letter manipulatives and build him in his little leaf pile, since turtles hibernate in under leaves and under rocks. So that's why he has got a little leaf pile. Or you can do, if you're kinder or if your kiddos are ready, you can do it with sight words. They could pick a sight word, read it, write it, and then build it. So that's another fun game you could do. Another fun game in my Centers pack is this bat rhymes. So they pick out the two bats that rhyme and match it to the cave, and then they hang the bats upside down in the cave to hibernate. So cat, bat, hat, and then they clip them in there, sneaking in some fine motor work. And then this is another game in my Hibernation Centers pack. So you could line these up. I use these games a lot for table time. So I would literally put them all around the table, A, B, C, all the way to Z, kind of like in an oval. And then as the kids come in, it just keeps them up and moving and gets them engaged, like right when they walk in the door. And I usually have the letter cards in my hand, or I have them in piles. And the kiddos will pick out naturally their level. So if they know uppercase, they'll naturally pick out the uppercase card, or sounds, or lowercase. And then these are just some other little letter rocks I made. This is just literally, you guys, a Sharpie and the small rocks from the dollar store. And again, small, tiny, fine motor work. So that's really fun to do too. And then I have these handwriting mats. So my Play-Doh dried out, but use some Play-Doh, and they can trace the groundhog, and they can then make the letter. Oh, another game I forgot to tell you about. So since bears hibernate and bats hibernate in caves, you could grab some of these cups and you could turn them into caves. So what I would do is cut part of this, and then you can write a letter on the top, and then they would have to, and then or you could use the bowls. It's up to you. I will say the dollar store bowls are kind of flimsy. I've tried to cut them before and they're not the best. So I would use these cups, so cut a little hole, and you can either write letters on your counting bears, or or you can write a letter on the top of your cups and then put them in order, and then have the little cave, and then they could match. We'll pretend this is A, and they could put the letters in the cave. So they could be like hibernation letters. So that would be a fun game. And again, these are just so cheap, and they're from the dollar store. But that would be a fun little game to play for a hibernation theme. You can get those letters hibernating. So for art, this is why I have brown paint on my hand. So a Play-Doh tray. I always try and have a Play-Doh tray out for every theme, which you can tell I just have it. I keep it right there on my art shelf. And then, so for this one, I did, again, these rocks from the dollar store. These are just plastic cut up plants, and some animals hibernate under like leaves and rocks. Just plastic cut up ones from the dollar store off of like the fake leaves. Some popsicle sticks, hibernation animals, some Play-Doh. And you guys, there's no shame in using store-bought, or if you're a rock star and you make your own, that's amazing too. And you gotta have snow. So I have some little pom-poms. And then I put out scissors, because scissors are always fun with Play-Doh. Since I couldn't find any good cookie cutters for this theme, so I just put out some scissors so that way they can cut the Play-Doh and roll it out with the rolling pin. So again, just fun, fine motor work, and it's great STEM too, because they could be building, they'll probably be building little trees and caves for their little animals. Okay, see where I got the brown paint on me? Oh, that was just something else. So what I did was I made a little hibernation animal, little project. So all it is what they do is they paint the cave just with a paintbrush. And so you could have it like that out too. You could have your little paintbrush in your black paint. And then this is just a piece of cardboard, and they're just stamping. And do you see how I'm having to turn my wrist? Well, when they're turning their wrist, they're using all those fine motor muscles, so they're developing that grasp. Because when you write letters, you have to have a strong wrist, because when they first write letters, they turn their wrist, and then later, hopefully, they're just moving their pencil with their fingers. So this is a great activity to develop some wrist strength. And then just take the end of a paintbrush to make little eyeballs in the cave. So that's a really fun little art activity. You could also do a still life painting, which this is my still life. Obviously the kids would look a little bit different, but what you do is you just put a stuffed animal or a plastic animal, and they can draw or paint it. So you could put out liquid water, or you could put out oil pastels with watercolor, and they could do it that way, or you can just put out paint. So this is literally just a stuffed animal bear, but it lets, when you put out a stuffed animal or a figure for still life, they can actually touch and feel it and really like notice all the details. So if you came over and your kiddos were drawing and you would notice, oh my gosh, your bear doesn't have any legs. Let's see how many legs this bear has. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to put 4 legs on your bear. Where are you going to put them? And then you can add that into your drawing. So you're helping them really notice and pay attention to details when you're doing still life, because everything in their life moves so fast, and like screens move very fast. So still life is great for helping kids slow down and kind of notice all those details. You could also do a typical paper plate bear. This one, I typically use small plates when I do paper plate. animals. I really should have used like a darker brown for the ears, nose. And then I always put out torn paper strips because tearing is tricky for kiddos because their fingers and their hands have to move in opposite directions, and that's tricky. So I always put out a little tray of torn paper, and then with the ears, and then these eyeball stickers are from Discount School Supply. So you can put the cut pieces out, and obviously if they're 3, they're not going to look like a bear, but it's more of the fine motor aspect. You would just have some very abstract, probably looking bears. And then you can also do like a typical winter if you don't want to do a bear or anything like that. So you could just take these foam snowflakes and they could decorate them and do collage on them. And you can paint on foil or paint on the ice. Just when you're painting on ice, just put a little bit of dish soap in your paint and it will stick and it won't flake off. So yeah, just put it right in your little cup and it's gorgeous. And these are really pretty too to like hang up on the wall. Gorgeous. So all kinds of fun art ideas for you. I'm going to walk you guys over to the sensory table. So in my sensory bin for my winter or hibernation theme, I just have these brown beans. Yeah, I paint all over my hands. What preschool teacher doesn't though, right? Brown beans, and then I put in some letter rocks to sneak in some literacy. Now, whether they're talking about the letters or just moving them around in the bin, that's totally up to them. But at least they will be seeing them, and they'll be, again, just exposing them to letters. And then I put in these tree rings. You can get these at Hobby Lobby or Discount School Supply. And then I put in some little scoops. These are from IKEA, but they're great because, again, they have to like turn their wrist to scoop, but any scoop you have would work, or little measuring scoops or spoons. And then obviously cotton balls for the snow. And then these are just some tweezers. These are from the dollar store. And I always try and put some kind of container in there because some kids just love to dump and fill and dump and fill and dump and fill and dump, which is great fine motor. So I have those little jars in there. They were from some kind of craft project. Oh, and I have these I threw some gems in there too. So there's that. All right, so in the science center, I have my science animals in winter hibernation pack. So all the printables, all of the vocabulary cards are from that pack. And then I have these sorts. So some animals hibernate. So actually not all animals technically hibernate. Reptiles and amphibians go more dormant during the winter, and they don't really hibernate technically. But it's preschool. So you can tell them they hibernate or they sleep during the winter, which is that's really what they do. They just kind of go dormant. But if you're getting technical, I just wanted to give you guys some fun facts. And then some animals don't go into a deep hibernation. So like bears are light sleepers, so loud noises, if it gets warm, they will wake up. Some animals that hibernate wake up to eat. Some animals that hibernate do not wake up to eat. So it's kind of a gray area, but obviously we're just giving them an overall idea that some animals either migrate, so they go to warmer places during the winter, and some animals kind of hide or find like a nice cozy spot and to stay warm during the winter, and some wake up to eat, and some stay asleep or dormant all winter. So just some little fun facts. And like some animals, like different species hibernate and then some don't. Like some mice hibernate, some don't. So it really is going to kind of depend on where you live too and what animals your kiddos are seeing outside. So you can be like, well, some animals or some mice hibernate, some mice don't. So it's okay because science is interesting and exciting, and it's not like black and white usually. There's like this, like all the different little things. So I think that's good to tell kids that there's not always like an exact right answer. There's just different little pieces to all these things. And you can always go online and look it up or read books, and you can learn with them. So just a little fun facts about hibernation. All right, so And like I said, some animals hibernate or become dormant. Some migrate, and then some adapt. So they basically stay around all winter. And I put people on there because people adapt, right? We go into a house, we don't go outside, we put on clothes or like winter clothes when it's cold. So I think that's good to show kids that, you know, we're animals. What do we do? What do animals do? It's just a nice, great comparison because kids are all about themselves. And then I have some winter animals on here. Discount School Supply has like a great forest animal pack. So does Lakeshore. You can grab some of these from. I just have them measuring. So they're basically just doing like sciencey things. Like science process things. So they're using the magnifying glass to explore the animals and they're all the different parts, and then they're measuring the animals. And then I just have a whole bunch of real photographs of the different animals. And then I did put 2 in the corner if they adapt, migrate, or hibernate. You can also talk about the parts of a bear. Again, this is in my science unit, so that would be a fun circle activity to do. If you read a book about hibernation, then you could talk about the parts of a bear. Or you could even take these to your circle and you guys can sort them. Whether you can say, and you can make it simple or as hard as you want. So you can say, does this animal hibernate? Yes or no. And they can give you thumbs up or thumbs down. And if it does, you can put it on the chart. And if it doesn't, just put it on the floor with you at circle. So that's some fun stuff to do. For science, you can always have them build 2 at the science table, do a little STEM challenge with just a little tray of goodies. That's just cut up felt. And they can build like a little animal shelter for the animals. You can do a experiment. So I had ice in here and it melted. I put it in there this morning so I wouldn't forget, and apparently my house is warm. So what you can do, and if you can do this whether you have my science pack or not. So put in ice in both bags and have their kids, it's kind of like the polar animal one, but it's a little bit different. So this one, they're going to put their hand in the baggie and put their hand in the ice, and you can see how fast it gets warm or not. And this one, I just have a wash rag in here, so they would put it in so you could pretend it's animal fur. And you can be like, oh, like during the winter, the animals grow really thick fur, and which one is warmer, the bag where you have fur or the bag where you don't have fur. So it's just a fun way for kids to experience kind of how animals stay warm during the winter. You can also set up your writing center. Just mix it up and put out some winter hibernation words, which are in my centers pack. And with the paper, you can put out smelly markers. I just like mixing up all the different writing tools at my table. Each year, different kids love different things. But usually smelly markers are always a hit. I do like putting skinny markers out because they're great for fine motor, and teacher pens are fun to put out because usually at this, with those winter months, you need something new and exciting at the writing table. Pens are perfect, and at this point, hopefully they're not writing on things they're not supposed to. You can also do a letter hide and seek. So this is just a little pocket chart from the dollar store, and they have to hide the animals. And this is a great game to do at circle too, or as a transition as you're dismissing kids to go wash their hands. They can say, is it hiding behind the letter C? And then go, nope. And you can either have them put it back in or not. Is it hiding behind B? Oh, there it is. It's just a fun way to talk about letters. It comes in. In my centers pack, I also have Bear Snores On. What I do is I usually either talk about the characters or the events. I don't do both at the same time unless we're reviewing. So what I usually do is day 1, I wouldn't have any of these out, and I would hand out these cards and say, these are the characters in the book. And I would hand out the cards and give them to the kids. And then as we're reading the story, as they come up in Bear Snores On, we put them up on the chart and we talk about what characters there are, how many, which one was their favorite and why, and just kind of talk about the characters. And then the second day, before I read the story, I say, oh, do you guys remember what characters were in this book? And then as they remember the characters, we put those up. And then I say, does anybody remember some of the things that happened, the events? And then I hand the event cards out. And then as we're reading the story, the kiddos come up and put them in as we read. So books are great to read more than one day. because they pick up on all the things. Every time you read it, they will pick up more details, and they'll notice the illustrations and the text and the wording, all of it more. So that's one of my favorite stories for a hibernation theme. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. So Jan Brett has some great books that are they're not really about hibernation, but they have animals in the winter. If you go on her website, she has these cards, and they're gorgeous. So you could use these as character cards, or I know, one year they got they were so loved, I had to throw them away. But I need to make a new set. But you can also cut them out and put a popsicle stick on them and make them into a mask, so the kids can act out the story that way too. It's just on Jan Brett's website. And then here are my other winter animal books. Again, a lot of these really aren't technically hibernating, but it talks about, it's kind of the concept. This one is really cute, A Loud Winter's Nap. It's basically about a turtle who's trying to take a nap and it doesn't work. Everyone's bothering him, but it's a really great book, has great events in it, great for retelling. If it's snowing and clap your paws. That's a really cute one, great for rhyming. And then 10 on the Sled is another great one. Obviously, it's a counting book. So those are fun too. And then if you read Three Snow Bears, which is the Three Bears, it's always fun to read the traditional Goldilocks and the Three Bears after, and then you can kind of compare the stories. Gross motor. So for gross motor, I love doing snowball fights. You can tell these are loved. We don't use these for anything, obviously, except gross motor. So I usually give everybody a handful, and I always make it a rule where they can only throw, or I don't give everybody a handful. Sorry, I throw them up in the air when the song starts, and then the rule is they can only throw one snowball at a time. Well, I usually only let them throw one snowball at a time. One, so it doesn't get out of control and crazy, and two, they have to develop that self-regulation, so they can only pick up one, and they can only throw one at a time. And when they're picking up one, they're picking it up, so you're using those pincer muscles, and then they're throwing it. So then they're also practicing either overhead or underhand, or overhand or underhand throwing. So it's kind of getting gross motor in, you're getting in self-regulation all at once, and you're helping them get those wiggles out. And if a cotton ball hits somebody in the eyeball or in the head, it's not going to hurt them. And I usually, like, you can tell those snowballs, like, we keep them, and they're literally just for gross motor. That is it. That is the only thing we use them for. And then you can also take your parachute and give all the kids the snowballs, or not snowballs, have all the kids hold on to the parachute, and then throw a handful of the cotton balls in the middle, and then you can have them bounce it slow and fast. Again, working on that self-regulation, talking about opposites. What we're gonna do it slow. Okay, ready, what's the opposite of that? We're gonna do it fast. And then as they're doing it fast, they will all pop off. So it's really fun. So you can use snowballs just during music and movement time, just having them throw at each other, or you can use it with the parachute. So some fun, gross motor for you. All right, you guys ready for math? Oh, let's do blocks first, actually. For blocks, now, I usually only change out this top shelf in my block center, and then I put up new challenges. And then this block shelf always kind of basically stays the same, because if I change everything out, one, it's overwhelming for me, and two, it's overwhelming for the kiddos. And they know too, if something doesn't have a label, it goes on that top shelf. So I put out some challenge cards. So these are real photos, so I can build a forest, a cave, a burrow, a hollow tree, or a snowflake, and that's a real snowflake. And then I have foam and felt. And then I have rocks. These sticks are from Hobby Lobby. Cotton balls, those gems from Dollar Tree, some forest animals, leaves, which I just pulled off of fake leaves or fake flowers from the dollar store, and then black cups, so that way they can build caves and things like that with some black cups. I actually just had these left over from Halloween, so I threw them in. the block center. You can also use silver cans as long as your can opener doesn't make them sharp. So when you put out new fun things in the block center, well, one, you're gonna keep them more engaged. Two, they're gonna have to problem solve because what they're building with now is a different size and weight and texture. It's gonna balance different. It's going to challenge them to build something new. Like, you know, there's always that kiddo who builds a tower with a stack of blocks every day, right? Or that kiddo that builds the same thing all the time because that's what they love. But you never know. They may build that tower and then they may add rocks to it, or they may add some black felt to it, and they might pretend it's a cave. So what you're doing by putting out these new materials, you're extending their thinking. You're giving them just some new exciting things to think about and plan as they build and as they're grabbing materials, and you're making it more purposeful for them too. So that's really fun. Those winter stem I can build all of these posters are in the winter stem I can build pack. So, and I always put them, so I have a ribbon right here and on clothespins, because ideally you would want those at kids level, but I can't do that in my classroom. So I have them on little clothespins, so that way if the kids want to see this picture, I can take it down and they can hold it and they can have it and use it as a reference as they are building. So there's some fun things you can do in your block center. For math, you can do some teddy bear math. You can either bring in teddy bears or you can have your kiddos bring in teddy bears. I have a note in that pack. So if you want to have everybody bring in a teddy bear, and you can have like a bear day in your classroom. One thing you can do is sort them from short to tall. So I always put a line on the ground anytime we're sorting, whether you're using plastic animals or teddy bear animals. So that way they kind of have a spot where it starts and it stops. Then I just have a little cube that says short and tall. And you can do this during circle, but that way they're measuring and they're comparing, like, is this one taller? Oh, I think it is. And they can say, oh, well, let's put them side by side. Which one is taller? And then they're talking, they're comparing. They can visually see which one is taller, which one is shorter. You can measure them with cubes. That's really fun. You can do so many things with like real animals. You can also, if you don't want to have your kiddos bring in bears, you can also just grab all of your winter animals and you can measure your like winter plastic animals and put them on the line too. And then you can do a gigantic sort. So you could take their bears and then spread out your poster boards, and they could have a small pile, a medium, and a large pile. Again, you're just using lots and lots of math vocabulary and comparing sizes. And if you have littles, like if you have young 3s or 2s, just put out small and large. And is this bear small or is it large? So you can make it, again, you can make it easier or more complicated. You can also measure body parts. I don't have my cubes over here, but you can use, hold on, here's some. You can use like connecting cubes, and you can have each kiddo measure their bear. So you can have them measure how big the head is, how big their arms are, legs, their whole body, just with cubes. That's a fun way to measure in a hands-on way. And if it's their bear, you guys, they're going to be so excited to do this activity. You want to get them engaged, have them bring in their own bears. So fun. And then obviously bear counters, because I think they're like a staple in every classroom, right? So I did include these sorting boards so you can sort by color. You can also sort them by size. Small, I think that one's small. Medium and large. Sort them by small, medium, and large. Or these bears are also great to do positional words. So where's here, we'll just use my bowl. Or you can make it into a counting game too. So you can give everybody a bowl, or you can use the cups, and you can say, okay, everybody put your bear on top of the cave. And they'll put their bear on top of the cave. And then you can say, okay, everybody put your bear under the cave or inside. So they would put it all inside. So you can talk about positional words with your cave. You can also make it into a counting game or a color game. So if you have littles that are working on colors, you could roll the dice and you could cut a little roll the dice. I lost you for a minute. Sorry about that. And they could count out 1, 2, 3. And then they would put 3 bears in their cave. Or you could use 2 dice, but your cave would fill up really fast. And they could add. So they would roll 2 dice, and then they could count 5 plus 2 is 7, and they would count out 7 bears and put 7 bears in the cave. You could also do, just like we did with the cups, you could write, and if you use a silver Sharpie on these, it works. You could cut the hole in the side and then put a number on the top, and they could put that many bears in each cave, and you could have it set up as like a table time activity. Would be really fun to do as well. You could also give them Sharpies and white bowls, like the paper ones, and they could decorate the caves too if you wanted them to do that. So some of the hibernation math centers I have are these hedgehog puzzles. I just put them in a sensory bin, and you guys, this is literally the sensory bin that's in my classroom. So if you want to put something in a sensory bin for a small group, just grab whatever's in your sensory table, put it in a small bin, and there you go. And they're just matching up the puzzles. And then I have a counting game in there too. So you can put out 1 through 20, 1 through 10, just do teen numbers, and then they have to match the number, the domino, and the 10 frame. And then you could pretend these are acorns, and they could have to count out that many acorns. And then we have a pattern game. And then so you can either use the cards, and they can make them and extend the pattern, or they can create their own. You can also have them make patterns with counting bears just on the table. And I like to put a piece of tape on there so they kind of have a start and a stop point. But they can also make patterns on here or just on the table with the bears too. I love counting bears, and they're the perfect math manipulative for this theme, since hibernation animals are hard to find. And then for dramatic play, so you could set it up as something completely random, like right now, mine's set up for bowling alley. But if you wanted to connect it to the theme, you could do an ice skating rink. It reminds me, I have one more activity I wanted to show you. So this is in my TBT store, and I tell you how to set it up and all the things. I even put ice skates in there. They're just paper ice skates. But I show you how to set everything up. I put in a planning page at a glance, plus all the printables, all the labels, everything is in there for you. I just have it, just the printable part in the binder for right now. Oh, let me show you that other activity before I forget. So we love foil. So another fun thing to do is hide. You can hide letters or numbers. I do this for the space theme, and I call these like space rocks. But you could say, I'm going to hide the letters in, basically, so what you do is you take a whole bunch of letter manipulatives, and you hide them in foil, and then you put them on the table, and then they have to open up the foil, which is great fine motor, and it gets them engaged, and then they have to write it down. So then they could write it on their board, on their paper, and then I always have them too, hide it back. So those are my ideas for you for a hibernation theme. So do I teach the games? So like the printable games. So what I typically do is, like, let's say this game, the letter matching game. What I typically do is I will have it out for table time, or I'll play it for small group. And then what I do is I take it and I put it in the same place on my shelf. So I always have my writing trays right here. So my hibernation writing trays would be right there. And then I would probably have two winter printable games on the library shelf. So that way they can play that during centers. So that way, if it's a new game they haven't played before, I can teach them how to play first. And if you purchase a lot of my TPT goodies or a lot of my curriculum, you'll see a lot of my games are kind of played the same way. So I have a lot of matching games. You guys are loving letter and number hide and seek, so I've been trying to make some more of those. I have a lot of writing trays, handwriting trays, sorting. So a lot of my games are played very like similar. So that way you're not having to literally teach your kids how to play different games each time. And if I have them out in a center, if they're playing it different than I intended, that's usually fine with me as long as they're matching or counting or whatever it might be. As long as they're doing some kind of skill with the game, I'm usually good with it. So yeah, so that does that help? And then I usually put retellings. I might put them in like a basket, or on that stand-up easel. I'll put them on there, like, and put the pocket chart on there, or I'll have it double-sided so it sticks out, so that way they can either play the game on one side or the other game on the other. Yeah, so that's what I do with retelling cards too, because I'll read it during circle, and then I want them to go reread it during center time. And then organization. So what I usually do for organization, so I keep all of my themes in these plastic tubs from Michael's and manipulatives, and all the printables are in there too. It's thick, like, and you guys, so much stuff fits in those. And then, so yeah, so these are all the themes I have so far. So yeah, and then these labels are free on my blog if you want those. And you can see, I typically just put one of a manipulative in here or a mini eraser or something to remind me that I have that in the closet, because I can't tell you, like, here's one for the space. For example, like I have a little astronaut, and I have a couple mini erasers, and then I have sometimes I even put a little bag of the sensory bin in there. That way I remember, oh yeah, I have that in the closet, because how many times, I can't even tell you how many times I've done a theme and I forget I have a manipulative or a mini eraser or something to go with it. And I don't want to keep everything in a bin for that theme, because like some years I do a winter theme, some years I do polar animals, some years I do hibernation. So a lot of those manipulatives I use for a lot of different themes. So that way if I just put one, oh, you want to see the closet? Okay, I'll show you the closet. I don't know, we'll see how messy it is. Okay, so here's my closet with my manipulative. Now, remember, I've been teaching for like almost 15 years. So it's 15 years of Target, Dollar Spot, 15 years of Dollar Tree. So here it is. So I have like all my mini erasers. And like, here's those gems I made with letters on them. So you could do that totally for this theme too. And then I have like my counters. And some of my mini erasers too are from those Kinder crates that I, subscription box, Target, Dollar Spot. I have rocks and gems, and then themes for different things for different themes. These are like candles. I have all my trays down here. You guys, a lot of this I've just collected. I have literally a bin of fake flowers from the Dollar Tree. This is my Play-Doh bucket. I have beads in here. This is sticks and pipe cleaners and pom-poms and felt. And then just some other random things. Hopefully that helps you guys. I will have the hibernation blog post up Friday. So you can either sign up for the newsletter and I'll give you a fun freebie, or you can grab it off the blog later this weekend. Alrighty, so if you want to sign up for my newsletter, it's at the top of this post. My blog is pocketofpreschool.com. You can go to that anytime you want. So you guys have an amazing night. See you soon. Bye.